Hello, everyone. I'm Bridget Baggett. I'm the Director of Recruiting for Career Innovations, and I want to welcome you to joining us at Career Innovations Job Seeker Q&A session. This session will be recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is Career Innovations, all one word, no space. That's actually our YouTube channel. This way you can access previous sessions that you may have missed. And I do encourage you, if this is your first time attending our Q&A session, to go to our YouTube channel and look at some of the workshops that we've done and some of the questions that we have answered in previous sessions. I do encourage everyone to submit their questions prior to the workshop. That way we can give a more detailed, thorough answer and give a better response. That way we've actually have time to research the answer that we're going to give to you. I do like to give a 30-second intro about myself and about the company if this is your first time joining. You can ask questions one of two ways. You can actually go down to the bottom, type in your questions. All questions that are sent in will be answered will be answered following the workshop. Or you can raise your hand, I can unmute your line, and you can verbally ask your question. That really is dependent on how you logged into the workshop and if you put in your audio pin to be able to utilize the audio portion of the workshop. Well, CareerInnovations is an executive firm. We were launched back in 2007. We're a referral-based firm, which we find a lot of our candidates through networking and referrals, and we pride ourselves in the advancement that we've made in innovative technology to locate some of the best talent for our clients. We also wanted to give resources back to the job seeker like yourself. You know, unfortunately, we're not able to place every single person that comes across our desk, but we do like to be able to give a resource to those job seekers that may be finding challenges as they move forward professionally. I do see ourselves as an innovator. One of our passions are organizational development and change. I really do believe that an organizational culture starts with the company's core values. It is the foundation for attracting and retaining top talent. As you can see, some of the services that we do offer in addition to our workshops, we do resume writing and edits, we do market research, referral and retention workshops for employers, as well as compensation benchmarking. Really wanted to get this quote out because this quote is really related to the workshop that we're doing today. The quote is, the difference between the right word and almost the right word is the difference between lightning and lightning bug. You know, and we're going to talk about communication today. The two questions that I did receive prior to the workshop were related to finding leads, communicating, and just finding a way to network and get themselves out there to those decision makers. So this workshop is pretty much going to be dedicated to that. You know, and again, this is just a snapshot of what you're able to do on a communications level as far as getting your name out there and communicating with companies. So since we only have about an hour to talk on this topic, again, I do encourage you to look at other workshops that we've done on this topic where you can get a little bit deeper, you know, than just the surface to find out some ways that you can market yourself. First thing you want to do is know the sources. You know, the job market is bigger than you think. In terms of percentages, it has been estimated that online job postings only represent about 15 to 20% of the total jobs that are out there. You know, so many people don't understand and don't realize that most of the jobs may not be advertised through these job outlets or these job boards that you're using to find jobs. You know, and once again, a lot of these jobs do go unadvertised, and not so much that they're trying to keep it a secret. Many may post them to their own personal career site. Many may post them to their own website. You know, some may be looking for, you know, referrals or internal hires. So it's different reasons why they don't post it on these big sites. But one reason also can be that, you know, these ads that you see cost money. They're not free. You know, and a job posting can cost anywhere from $2, $3, $4, you know, depending on a niche site. Some can go as high as $500 a post. So when you see a job that has 30 or 40 posts on a particular job site, that's thousands of dollars they use just to post a job. That doesn't mean they actually hire someone, or that particular job posting generates a lead or generates an actual candidate that they're going to hire. So many companies are starting to get much smarter about how they spend their money, so they don't post all their jobs on sites. And believe it or not, some of the smaller companies don't have the budget to. They don't have thousands of dollars to put just in job postings where, they might or might not get a hit. So you also have to also be very aware that the job market is definitely bigger than what you see online. So the first thing you want to look at is job boards. These are some of the known sources. Social media, and we're going to talk a little bit about the social media that's out there. Referrals, organizations, internal hires, and again, unadvertised positions. So again, your first line of defense with most organizations are job boards. Then you have your social media, your referrals, you have different organizations or industry-related organizations that companies use to target a niche market. You also have your internal hires as well as unadvertised positions. So you want to look at communication, how it's changed. You want to look at some of the outlets that have changed over the years. So you have your outlets where people did use a newspaper. Many years ago, that was their only outlet. Before the internet came out and before there was Facebook and LinkedIn and job posting boards, people just posted their job in the local newspaper. Now many are actually depending on referrals and depending on social media to get the word out. For the 5th year running, JobBite has released their social recruiting survey, which has become an industry benchmark. When they started doing this, they were able to see what people were using in the rise of social media in the recruitment industry. Nowadays, this has gone full stream. This is mainstream now. And you also want to look at, many companies are going back to the basics. In this particular research, there were some very interesting findings. They found that referrals are the highest rated source of new hires. So if you're talking about referrals, we're talking about word of mouth. Roughly 2/3, which is 65% of companies, seek to increase employment participation in recruiting by offering referral bonuses. 43% of those are offering rewards that are more than $1,000. So now they're trying to get their own employees in the process, is also get them engaged in the recruiting process. Recruiting passive candidates found through either employee referrals or social network is the most popular tactic for competing with other employers. Offering higher compensation is least popular at 30% usage. So they're finding out that money doesn't always talk. They're also finding out that people are also looking at the quality of the work environment and the quality of life if they are employed with this organization. And employers are starting to take that into consideration. Getting to the source, let's actually look at some numbers. Let's look at some statistics. When you look at this, you can actually see over the past 3 years, they have basically a 3 big spike in usage. As you can see, especially on the graph using, or the bar graph using LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, they're showing you these 3 pretty much are the most popular social media networks used for recruiting. But they're also, look at the numbers at this. LinkedIn continues to dominate the social recruiting network. 93% has adopted LinkedIn as a source of recruiting. This is a big jump from 2010, where only 78% were using it, up to 2012, where we're in the 90s now. We're at 93% of employers are using this as a way to find actual talent. The same way with Facebook and the same way with Twitter. You know, how people are implementing these social media networks to find their talent. And you also want to look at why they're using this, you know, and this is evaluating the impact of social recruiting, looking at their strategy. You're able to see that time to hire has decreased or either stayed the same. They're actually seeing that the quality of candidate has increased almost by 50%. When you look at the quantity of candidates also have increased. They're able to reach out to more people. And employees' referrals have increased or either stayed the same, but they're also seeing that not only referrals, but being able to have access to a potential candidate's references. You know, not only my view of what I think about this employee, but what are other people saying about this particular candidate? And employers are looking at this and using this information to their advantage when they make their hiring decision. So first thing you want to do when you are out there networking and trying to find different ways in which you can, in which you can actually implement, you want to be able to expand your network. You want to be able to build your personal brand, get references, and you want to make it work as a whole. And so these are some of the things that you want to do outside of just applying to positions online. The questions that we did receive were 2 questions: leads on companies hiring in Atlanta, and also, are there any effective methods to let employers know me rather than sending a resume on a career website? And we talked about that in the previous slides, how different methods of communication have changed. So when you ask how can you be different other than sending it through a career site, which pretty much everyone is doing, you want to stand out, you want to become competitive. So let's look at some outlets, job leads on and offline. First, you should be setting up some type of informational interview, setting up some way that you can network with the decision maker. Doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and reach out to these organizations. Look up these people. Now the technology has made everyone almost accessible. You know, so there's no reason why, if you have a company that you're interested in, why you haven't reached out to directly to find out who can I speak to in this organization that can give me direction. Mailers, articles, direct email, as far as direct emailing, instead of going through that career website, find out who that decision maker would be in that organization, get a hold of that person's contact information, and that's fairly easy by looking at the URL and the patterns of the emails. You can plug in what their direct email would be and contact these people directly. Reach out to that direct person to get your resume, your cover letter, and get you in front of the person that's going to make that decision. Ask for referrals. You know, so that means you can may have someone in your network right now that works for a company that you want to reach out to. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to reach out to that person, at least gain insight on the organization. You may figure out this may not be a company you want to pursue. So definitely make sure that you're leveraging your referrals and you're leveraging the people that are already in your network. Also do a company research. And what I mean by company research, you can look for job openings, but you can also look for companies. You know, once again, it goes back to 15 to 20% of the openings are posted online. You know, there's a whole world out there that's not on Career Builder, that's not on Monster, that's not on Indeed.com. So you want to also be able to look at companies. There may be something that's going on within the organization where they may be hiring. That also means looking for trends, looking at newsletters, looking at launches. You know, many times these are indicators and these are also signs to say that we're growing. We are looking for people that are that have this type of experience that we can bring within our network or within our organization. So doing a company research doesn't mean that you're necessarily looking for that job, that neon glowing job in their career site. That means that you're looking for possibilities. You're looking for organizations that fit what you want to do. And from there, you can reach out to those companies, start building relationships, and there may be opportunities, once again, that are not posted online. I remember when I was actually looking for jobs and helping other clients out, I'll stumble upon companies I never heard of. You know, and I would say, well, I never heard of this company, never knew they had positions open. I'll go to their website and I'll see 2 or 3 pages of open positions that I never seen posted online or never seen on a career portal or on a job board. So there's gold out there just by doing a company research, just by researching companies that are actually going to meet you on a professional level that may not be as visible as some of these bigger companies that may have a whole list of jobs. So that's something that you want to consider as well. So take a look at that. And I think that was the question that I had regarding, and both of my answers actually meet both of those questions. So being able to unplug, go offline, network, join organizations that are targeted to your industry, get your name out there, you know, ask for referrals. Not only look for companies that are hiring in your niche, but also look for companies that actually may fit your overall goals. So this goes beyond just looking for companies or looking at companies that are hiring. You know, you want to be able to build those relationships now, even where they're not hiring. So that's something that you should be looking to as well. So I was able to cover the first half of the session. The next half is actually up to you. This is my contact information. If you have any further questions, please post them so I can go ahead and go through some of the questions. Since we do make this a Q&A session, I do like to keep the open dialogue available, and I hope you were able to get some of the insights that I gave in the workshop before we got started. So if there's any questions, definitely post them below and I will answer them. See, I do have a question here. What are some things that you can do to find the decision maker and reach out to them? Well, some things that you can do, and I've talked about this in previous workshops. If you're online, that's about the easiest way that you can do it, is online. And I know some people are looking for alternative ways, but nowadays technology has made everyone, again, so accessible that, you know, doing a search, looking them up on LinkedIn pretty much takes less than 5 minutes to do. So your only best bet, if you know what position you're applying to, not only the recruiter so much, but the person that you know that's going to be somewhat active in the decision-making process, that's the person that you want to reach out to. That's who you want to get your resume in front of. And I'm not saying that you always have to go around the recruiter. You definitely can copy them on the email or on the communication that you send, but I definitely would try to find the person that really is going to have a say-so and have, you know, in the interview process and actually have a say-so on your behalf as well as hiring you. So that means that it does take a little bit of work on your part. So going to LinkedIn, going to the company's website, going to their company profile, finding out who will be over a particular department. And that usually doesn't take a lot because most companies use the hierarchy of, you know, you have someone, if you're in accounting, you know, more likely if you're going for an accounting position, you're going to be looking for the, you know, accounting manager or the director of accounting or the CIO or so on of that nature. So it's usually the hierarchy of the company that you can go through. That's the same thing. If, you know, if I'm in IT, I'm going to be looking for the IT manager or so on of that nature. So you want to, you'll know the roles that you're going for. And if you're going for an IT manager role, you know, you're going to go up a step. Let's look for the director of IT or the IT director. So you want to make sure that you can reach out to someone that actually is going to be in the hiring process. Most recruiters, and I'm not even going to say most, majority of recruiters do not have the power to hire anyone. They usually make the recommendation as the resumes come through the desk. They're given to the hiring authority. They make a decision from there. They're setting up the appointments. I would say they're more so of liaison throughout the process, but they're not the decision maker. You want to put your resume in the hands of the person that's going to be interviewing with you, that's going to be making that hiring decision, or at least be part of that hiring decision. They may not be the last word, but they at least have some type of input on whether or not they want to hire you or not. And that's really where you want to get your resume in the hands of. Get your resume in the hands of someone that's really going to be making those decisions. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. You talked about offline communication. Can you name some other places or things you can do offline besides LinkedIn? Okay, well, besides LinkedIn, if you're looking to network, and there's so many things, and what I'm going to say is going to be so cliche, and I know some people are looking for an answer above everything that they've heard, and there's really no secret, and people ask me, well, how do you know? And it's really no magical secret or magical thing that you can do besides what you probably already know. And that means when you're willing to unplug and you've used the LinkedIn and you use the job boards, you want to get out there and have those face-to-face interactions. And how cliche that sounds, it works. You want to get out there, start networking, start engaging with people that have the same interests and the same outlook as you. So that means if you have to join organizations or associations you normally don't join, you may have to consider putting yourself outside of your comfort zone so you can network with different people outside of the people that you already know. And people don't understand that your network is as good as the people that you know. So if you've exhausted your network and you've reached out to people, that means it's time to expand it. That means it's time to get out there and do things that you normally hadn't done. Join groups and organizations that you normally don't join. So you're going to have to move outside that comfort zone to get those face-to-face meetings and connect to people and put a face with a name. What I've done when I travel out of state for some of my contracts and some of my employers that I work for, I'll look up cities and states of people in my network that I would like to connect with. Nothing formal. I'll just reach out and say, hey, I'm going to be in your town. Would love to put a face with a name. Are you open for lunch? Are you open to get coffee? Are you open for something that I can actually engage with you other than through a email? I've done that when I go to different cities and I know I'm connected with a person that I may have a regular interaction with but never met. Why not? This is the perfect time. So you should be doing the same thing. Look at people that are going to the associations that you join that you'll like to meet and like to engage with. Come to find out, they may be looking for someone just like you for their positions. And keep in mind, as we spoke, or as I mentioned in previous slides, that 15 to 20% of jobs are posted online. There are a whole slew of jobs, a bigger world out there that's not online. Some are posted directly to the site. Some are internal. So you have to keep your eyes open and don't just limit yourself to what you see on those big 5 job boards. And to do that, you do have to unplug and you do need to get out there and connect with people on a more personal level. So that's my answer to that. So it takes for you to expand your network, and I've had people, well, I've asked everyone in my network and, no one really knows anyone. And what do? Stop? No, you don't stop. You go out there and you say, well, if this network I have is not working, it's time for me to grow it. So that's what you should be doing, growing your network, meeting more people, and getting those no's to turn to a yes, or getting those no's to lead you to a yes. Okay, so do you have any more questions? Do you think it's appropriate to send your resume directly to the decision maker, as you mentioned? Yes, it is appropriate. For one, many people don't understand that the jobs that they post online, the quantity that they get is, enormous, and it takes a lot of time to go through those resumes. And some of them may not get looked at. Some of them are parsed out through software, and some of them never reach the decision maker. So if you're a person that matches this job description to a T, or matches what that employer looks or is looking for, you're a lifesaver. You just save them time from having to go through a lot of resumes. And even if you don't get the job, I can count you if your resume is marketable enough, you would at least get a phone call to set up a conversation. And that way they can determine whether or not to put you in the hiring process. But many times people don't get that if you're number 562 that applied to this job. So you also want to make yourself available. And I do think that reaching out to the decision maker, which many people don't do. And some people think, well, wouldn't that decision maker get upset? I talk about reaching out to the decision maker all the time. And even though it sounds so cliche, nobody does it. So you would think the decision maker would be flooded with resumes. They're not, because nobody does it. It's very few people out there that take the time to research, and that's what it is. It's actually a little bit of work involved. It's not just, attaching your resume and answering a couple questions. And don't get me wrong, I know the application, depending on the company, that can be very, very lengthy. And many people don't take that time to research, okay, if I was in this position, or if I was over this position, who would I be? Let me go and look for this person. And even if you get it wrong, so what? A lot of people would direct you to the right person. I've had that happen when I've reached out to clients. Oh no, I'm not over recruiting, so-and-so is. I'll just forward the resume. I'll just forward your email to them, and they'll copy me on it. That's happened to me in many cases where I have, researched the wrong person. I thought this person was over it, and they weren't. So don't feel that, you may reach out to the wrong person. If you do, that's fine. Person's in the position to help you, they will. And quite frankly, there are a lot of people out there that will help you and point you to the right direction, but many people aren't even giving this a try. So you would think that decision makers would be overwhelmed with resumes, but they're not. They're not. So it would not be an issue if you sent it directly to the decision maker, because they're not getting resumes, and candidates aren't looking this information up to reach them directly. See, do we have any more questions? You mentioned many jobs go unadvertised. So how are they filling the positions if they're not posting them online? Well, when I say unadvertised, I mean they're not posting them on job boards, or and some are unadvertised, or they may be looking for an internal candidate. But when I say unadvertised, they may not be listed on Indeed.com or Career Builder or LinkedIn or somewhere where the general public would go. They may post it on their site. Some people say, well, it's still posted, but unless you know that company, who would go to their site? Like I said previously, it was many companies I never knew about that I stumbled upon, and I would see 3 or 4 pages of job openings. Career Builder didn't take me there. LinkedIn didn't take me there. It was something that I stumbled upon. So if you don't know the company exists, how will you know if they have an opening? So that's what I mean, they go unadvertised. And many companies just don't have the capital or want to invest the capital into job boards. Many may find that they have other effective methods of finding their candidates versus posting a $500 job ad. So you also have to keep that in consideration as well. These job postings aren't free, and most of the ones that are free do not generate the type of traffic they want to apply to their job. So in order to get that high volume traffic, you got to pay. And many companies aren't willing to come out of pocket or out of their budget, for one posting. Keep in mind, if you have several openings, this can get expensive. $400 or $500 a post, and you got 20 or 30 jobs, if not more. You do the math. And the posting doesn't guarantee you're going to get a hire out of it. So a lot of companies are looking for other ways in which they can find candidates, and that goes back to, again, social media, which is free, and also engaging, that they use to find candidates outside of job posting. So Keep in mind, unadvertised doesn't necessarily mean they don't have it online at all. It means that they may not be available for you to see. That's why in that last slide, I said you should look at company research, which means that you're not targeting just a open job. You're looking for companies, because many companies that you never heard of, and believe me, in Charlotte there's so many companies that have been here longer than me that I still don't know about, that are right under my nose, that are hiring. Just because they're not on the job boards doesn't mean they're not hiring. So that's why I say that you should use some outlet. You can use Manta, you can do a Google search and look for local companies that are local to you, that provide a service or professionals or a profession or industry that you're in that you wouldn't mind working for, and just look for companies. Go directly to their site. Look to see if they're hiring. Look at them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a great way to filter out companies, not based on job openings, but you can filter companies based on demographics, based on size, based on revenue. So use that tool to look for companies, and from there, once you get the company list, then you can start exploring what do these companies have to offer, and you will reveal jobs and postings that you never knew exist, and let alone you'll reveal companies within your own city that you never knew exist. So you definitely want to do that as well. So that's a way to uncover some of the jobs that are out there from companies that, again, you may have never knew that was on the map. See if we have any more questions tonight. Okay, don't have any more questions. We're about 35 after, and again, I answered the two that came on about networking. Again, if you have any questions, definitely submit them. These workshops are for you. Try to make them as direct and uncandy coded as possible. So if you have any questions, definitely submit them. I'll wait. I do see a person typing. I'll wait for a couple seconds. Okay, I do see a question. I've been applying for a little bit over 7 months now, and only get an interview every once in a while, but need to know how can I get those numbers up. So if you've been unemployed or looking for 7 months and you haven't been able to find a position, you also want to, take a look at what sources are you using. That's one thing that you want to look at. And you also want to look at the type of jobs that you're applying for, and does your resume show value? Does your resume have keywords? And the reason why I say that, because again, it goes back to when you're using these ATS systems, which is your applicant tracking system, and you're applying online, these companies somehow are using software that are going to look for keywords that were in your resume, that they can zoom in on resumes that are relevant to what they're hiring for. So you also have to make sure the only document that you're using, the only document that you're forwarding to these employers, is as marketable as possible, because that's your first line of defense. This is the first thing employers see. Even when you send the email to introduce yourself, even when you send one directly to the hiring manager, say that you go around the ATS system, say you send it directly to the hiring manager, again, that resume is going to dictate whether or not they're going to even reach back out to you or set an interview up with you or even move forward with you in the hiring process. So you want to make sure that document is as marketable as possible. You will be amazed that I've talked to candidates, and over the phone they sound great. They tell me all the things they've done, the solutions they implemented, how they got this award, how they got that award. Then I say, oh great, shoot me your resume, and I'll get their resume, and everything that we talked about is not even in it. But guess what? The recruiting process doesn't work like that. I don't talk to you before I see your resume. No employer has phone calls before they see a person's resume. And if it had been reversed, if I got your resume first, I would have never known all this stuff that you told me and are 30 to 45-minute conversation. You know, so, and I had to tell this to the candidate that I was working with. I said, hey, we had a great conversation. Everything you said was great, but I don't see any of this in your resume. How was I supposed to know you got this award, or you was #1 in this territory, or you did this or did that, and none of this is in your resume? It was a list of job duties. Like, pretty much you could have took their resume and made a job description out of it. That's pretty much what it was, tasks and duties. I did this, I did, it had nothing in there that offered solutions. It didn't tell me how are you as a potential candidate going to bring value to my organization. And that's what employers are looking for. And unfortunately, the resume didn't have that. And if I was on the recruiting team, it would have got overlooked. You know, so that was something that this person had to come to grips with, because they had to understand that, you know, we had this conversation. I think that you're an amazing candidate, but on paper you're not. I don't see everything that you told me about is not revealed through or not articulated through this document. And that's what employers are going by. You know, so before you even get a chance to sell yourself, you have to sell yourself on paper, because that's what they're going to look at first. So, you know, that could be something that's holding you back as well. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know your, you know, I know you asked the question. I don't know your industry. I haven't seen your resume, so I don't know what the pinpoint or what the problem could be. But I'm just giving you some of the things I have actually experienced, and some of the things that I've reviewed throughout working with candidates and job seekers. And a lot of things that were holding them back was either their resume wasn't up to par. Many people were targeting the industry that they didn't have experience in, or they had very limited experience in. And many people overshot the job that they were applying to. You know, they didn't have that 10, 15 years experience, but yet they were applying to positions that require 10, 15 years experience, and they wonder why they weren't hearing anything back. So you want to make sure that you're not overshooting as well. Don't want to undersell or sell yourself short, but you definitely don't want to go for positions that may be out of your league at this time, and that definitely can hinder any responses that you get back. See if we have any more questions tonight. I hope I was able to answer it. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions. We're at a quarter till. What I'd like everyone to do is, when you log off of this, you actually have a survey. Please take the survey. It's only 10 questions. It pretty much lets us know what we can do better, some topics that you'd like to talk about. I know one of the topics that we're putting together now is a LinkedIn 101 and 102 I want to call it a course, but a workshop, because I did get a lot of requests on how to use LinkedIn, how to use it to market themselves, how to use it to do searches and filter companies. So I said I will put together a workshop for that. So stay tuned for that workshop. And again, that's what these surveys are for, you know, so list anything that you'll like to see in the future. Also let us know how we do, or how we did, and how, you know, if this is something that you would recommend or join again. Well, I really appreciate your time. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us.